This film's been designed so you can download it onto your personal media player. You can pause on the screens which show the key questions you need to ask and the main things you need to look for. And remember, the university has professional staff here to help you at the Student Support Centre. So if you have any questions or issues along the way, just ask an advisor. So the time has come when you might be starting to think about looking for accommodation for next year. But before you do, why not take some time out to listen to a few handy tips on being a tenant that could just save you from those housing horror stories. It's probably quite an exciting time leaving halls and moving into private accommodation with your mates. Maybe it's the first time you'll be living truly independently. Whilst this sounds great, some students do experience problems with their housemate, landlord, letting agent or even their neighbours. But you can really cut the risk of having housing problems by thinking about three main questions before you begin. Who to live with, where to live, and finally, when to start looking. Most importantly for a lot of people is who should I live with? You've probably made friends in the first few months on your course or in your halls, but do you really know them well enough to live with? Some students sign a contract before Christmas for the following June, only to fall out with their friends before moving in together, and that's not a great start. So be sure who you want to live with. It needn't be your closest friends, but it should be people you're willing to hang around with quite a lot. Don't feel pressured by your mates. Always be honest if you're worried about living with someone. Talk about how many of you should live together. It's an important decision as it can limit your options. 4 or 5 is quite a common number, but remember, if there are less of you, you might pay higher rent. And if there are more, think about whether it'll work practically. Come up with a few ground rules before you agree to live together. So for example, if you want to live with non-smokers, make that clear from the start. No one likes to rock the boat, but it's important to talk about any concerns before committing. Don't get swept along with the rest of the group. After all, once you sign that contract, it is a legally binding document. So you've sorted out how many of you there'll be, but where do you want to live? Again, make sure you all agree. Obviously, a lot of accommodation is near the campus, but you may find cheaper alternatives further away. Ask the right questions. Is it important for you to be near the town centre? Are there shops, leisure centres or pubs nearby? Narrowing down how many of you there are and roughly where you want to live can avoid wasting time trailing round houses that just aren't